स्टार्ट करते हैं. ठीक है, मैं इधर से देखता हूँ. तो स्टार्ट.
All right. Hello everyone. So tonight we have Mihir Godia along with us, who is currently a student, fourth year undergraduate student in Aerospace Department at IIT Madras, and here he has got research internship at Global Link Research. So today we will be covering about how to actually look for research internship, what are the procedure, what are the application process involved in this, and we will also talk how to write SOP, what are the different procedures involved. So we'll go through each and everything one by one. So let's start the webinar. So now Mihir will take over. All right.
So, hi guys. So thanks to all of you for taking the time out and posting hashtag quarantine, hashtag corona, hashtag getting bored of memes in this webinar, and you are using your time productively. Let's start off with clapping for yourselves. I think all the students, we as students around the world put in a lot of hard work, and we don't get due appreciation for our hard work. So I applaud you all for your hard work, because after all, we work very hard. We pick up our books the night before an exam, and still somehow manage to pass the exam. We pick up our books right before the day before the assignment submission, and still manage to get our assignment submitted in time. If that's not a superpower, I don't know what is. So yeah, I applaud all of you. And so yeah, so during this time of quarantine, we have a lot of free times on our hand. So I know all of you are using all that time productively, and you are working towards your goal. So here at Grow 90 and Tech Table, your dreams so that your dreams can become successful events in the future. And for those of you who are binge watching Brooklyn Nine-Nine all day and the memes, the breakdown, don't worry, we have you covered. Here at Grow 90 and Tech Table, webinar so that you don't go to sleep with a feeling of guilt. So at least we have you covered with some time of productive work during the day. Let's get started with the topic of today. So today's topic is Tricks and Trades of Bagging a Research Intern by Mihir Godia. So if you don't know who Mihir Godia is already, that's me, right? So let's get straight into it. Let's start with the thought process. What comes to your mind when you hear the word research internship? I'll give you around 10 seconds to think of one word that comes to your mind. I hope you're thinking. Time up. So I hope all of you have come up with at least comes to your mind when you hear the word research internship. So since I had more time to think about it, I came up with 4. So yeah, so I'll go through them one by one of what came to my mind. So first of all, visiting a new place. The excitement of traveling to a new place and exploring the world. The opportunity of a research internship also comes the opportunity to go into a new place that you would never have gone before, or you would have planned, but it wouldn't have been in the near future. So that's one word that came to my mind. Meeting new people. The experience of making new friends with different cultural backgrounds and making meaningful connections. License to have fun. After all, we are away from our homes, and no one to actually police us in that situation, and we have a lot of freedom to do the things that seem fun to us, but in your limits, obviously. So that's one more thing that came to my mind. So the last thing that came to my mind was research experience. Fun aside, we should know that we have why we are getting the research internship is for the research experience. So that's the main goal of any research internship. All the fun aside, all the outings aside, your main goal for a research internship should be gaining research experience and increasing your knowledge, obviously. So those are my inspirations for pursuing a research internship. In this talk, I'll be telling you the ways to maximize your chances of getting one. So let's get straight into it. So, so this is the outline of my talk today. So I'll go through it one by one in detail, but to give you a basic overview of it, I'll be covering the professor's mentality of what the professor that you'll be doing your research internship under, what does he expect from you? Second comes the documents that you would require while while uh, while applying for the research internship. So that includes transcripts, letter of recommendation, the resume, your statement of purpose, and the cover letter. But that's optional. We'll talk about it. Third is the type of applicants, the type of students apply for any research internship. So people have so those who are applying for a research internship have varied experiences in their field of interest. So I'll be talking you through all those and how one can maximize their chances of getting one if you are in that stage. At last, I'll talk to you about opportunities that you might be thinking you want to go for and which has not been consolidated in one place. So in opportunities, I consolidate all the research internships in one document, and I'll be sharing that link with you as well. It's not mentioned over here, but at the end, I'll talk to you about my experience of applying for research internships and what I've learned through all of that. So as you can see, I look like a hybrid between a snail and a turtle. So why should you trust me, right? I mean, I'm to you, I'm just some guy who has woken up and I'm giving a lecture to you on how to get a research internship. So why should you trust me? So here are my credentials. So yeah, I like to brag about. Please bear for me. Please bear it for me. So in 2018, I bagged a research internship at ADA. That's the short form for Aeronautical Development Agency, wing that develops the Tejas fighter aircraft. So I bagged a research intern there. In 2019, I got selected for 2 research internship opportunities. NTU, the Nanyang Technological University in Singapore, and one the SRPF. So that's the Indian version of the research internships that people get in prestigious institutes in India. And in 2020, I got selected for the MITAX Global Link Internship Program. So that has been called off due to the coronavirus thing. So I won't be going for that. But since I have gone through the procedure for applying for that and actually getting selected, so I'll be talking to you about how to maximize the chances of getting in and how to organize your documents in the correct form. So this is the part where I admit that I have seen failures. So behind any success story, I feel failures are so it both goes hand in hand, success and failure. So without experiencing failure, you don't get success. So in 2018 and 2019, I cold mailed a lot of professors, but I didn't get any positive response. In 2019, that's last year, I got rejected from Charpat and I got rejected from the pure internship. That's a research internship in Purdue. So, so we get back to that question: why should you trust my advice? Well, what works, because I got into some of these opportunities and listen to. I don't know what does. I know what doesn't work because I've seen rejections as well. So yeah. So let's dive into the nitty-gritty of it. So professor's mentality. So once you go for a research internship, so you will be under the guidance of a professor. So for the professor to select you as an applicant, there are some criterias and there are some metrics that the professor looks for in any intern that he wishes to hire. Thing is, he looks for if the applicant is equipped with all the basic concepts. So in any research work, the the student should have a grasp of all the basic concepts to build upon it. So any advanced topic, for any advanced topic, you can't just dive into the advanced topic as is. You need to have some basic groundwork before that. So professors expect you to have a basic groundwork knowledge of what actually works in your field of interest. So suppose you're applying for a research internship in the field of engine efficiency. So for that, you need to know thermodynamics, you need to know fluid mechanics, etc., etc. So the basic concepts of that are to build upon that knowledge base and to advance in research. So the professors look for that. The second thing that professors look for is dedication. So research work is not something that you can get by in a day or you can show results in a day. So in research work, you need to have a lot of commitment and you need to actually get behind the problem statement and try to look at it in many angles and just keep working on it until you get the results. So that's one thing. That's another thing the professor look for. The third is innovation. So in this, you shouldn't be kind of, so I'll frame it in a better way. It's the ability to see something new in the problem. It's to come up with a new solution to a problem that the professor has explained to you. So suppose the professor has told you that, let's find a good example. So suppose you have a data set of, let's say, so coronavirus is in trend these days. So I'll pick that example. So suppose you have a data of people who die. You have the data of the people who die of coronavirus, and you have all those features with you. So now the professor has asked you to use, say, a support vector machine to categorize those people who will die or won't die as the data comes in. So you could agree with the pro, but you could also have a educational debate with him of why a neural network would produce a better accuracy than an SVM. So innovation is important. You should think about the problem from all the angles, from new angles. You should try to involve solutions from the different fields as well, if you have the domain knowledge. So yeah, innovation is what professors also look for. So ability to regroup after failure. This is very important. So as I said, research work is it's not like you can get results in a day. If that's the case, then you are just lucky and it's just by chance. So any good research work, you should one day, and you will get frustrated after some time of not getting results. But it's the ability to push yourself forward and to strive towards a result that gets you in the good books of the professors, and the professor is more likely to select you. So prior research experience. So this is an optional trait that the professors look for, simply because many undergraduate students apply for many of the research internships, and one cannot expect an undergraduate student to have a lot of research work in his or her field of interest. So that's an optional thing. But if you have research experience, prior research experience, it's a good quality to have. So that actually boosts your chances. So let's go on to the next. So documents. So keep all this in mind. I'll come to this later on when I discuss the resume and the statement of purpose. So all these characteristics are your SOP, the statement of purpose, and resume. So coming on to the documents. So as I mentioned, you need 5 documents, 5 or 6. I'm not sure, but let's go through it one by one. So the first document that you require are your transcripts. So transcript is a document which shows all the courses you have done, and it shows all the grades that you have uh, gotten in all those courses. So one important thing in the transcript is that you should have a signature of some high authority figure in your institute, and it should also have an institute stamp on it. So that's quite important, because from that only the professor or from to whom you are sending the transcripts to can verify that the legitimate document. So make sure you have the signature and the institute stamp. Next comes the letter of recommendation. It is provided by any professor in your institute. So you have no say in what goes into the letter of recommendation, because it's completely up to the professor to write what he or she thinks about you. So it's quite important that you have a good image in front in the views of the professor. So I'll dig a little bit deep into it. So there are 2 types of people. So you're either a backbencher or you're not a backbencher, right? So if you're a backbencher like me, so it's very important to be in the good books of professors. So the trick I used to be in the good books of professor was to ask the professor out on a coffee, or I would go to them and seek advice from them, and I would get to know them personally. So that's something that makes up for you not paying attention in class. So yeah. So next I'll go on to not a backbencher. So in that case, I hope you are paying attention in class. So then ask doubts in class. Try to score the maximum marks. Do all the things that a backbencher should do, except the last point. That is the things that not a backbencher should do. So yeah. So be in the good books. Ask questions, and it should be like that. It should be such that the professor remembers you for something, either getting to know them personally or scoring the maximum marks, or if you ask doubts in class, then only a professor will remember you for, let's say, more than 2 years. So yeah, if you have any other ways, you can try that out, but it should not be at the expense of the professor and bad books. So let's come to the resume. So how to build a resume for a research internship application. So as you can see, I've broken it down into 5 parts. So it might be such that you have okay, so you might not have any one of the part in your resume, so that's all right. You can elaborate in the other part, but if you have any more points apart from this, you're free to put it. But these are the 5 points I feel that are important, that should be in every resume if you are going for a research internship application, because it simply boosts your prospects of getting. So first comes the skills. So in that you just mention in 2 or 3 lines what you are familiar with and what you are good at. So suppose you are good at programming. So in which language are you good at? So you can be good at Python or C++, or if you are into machine learning or data science, you can mention down that you are familiar with TensorFlow, PyTorch. Or if you are not in the computer science domain and you are in the mechanical domain or any other domain, core electrical domain, Ansys, SolidWorks, for those who might be aware of those. So just 2 or 3 lines summarizing what skills you have. No level of you shouldn't write down if you are at intermediate level or expert level. So yeah. So next comes the relevant coursework. So I suggest you put this down in a tabular manner. So just stating what all courses you have done with no description at all. So all of your proficiency in the skills and your proficiency and what all you have learned in the coursework, all of that will get reflected in your SOP next, and your internship work experience or project work. So for skills and relevant coursework, just mention down the names of the courses that you have done and the skills that you possess. So that's like 1/4 page of the resume. So next comes the internship work experience part. So this part and the project work part are the core of your resume, because they highlight what that you have put in the work, and that you have transferred all the knowledge that you learned in the class and are using it to solve real world problems. So first of all, one more thing. In internship / work experience, you can also put / research experience in here as well. So that's one thing I missed out. So in the third point, internship, work experience, and research experience, if you possess one. So highlight how your skills created a positive impact for the organization. So if you're interning at a government organization or a private firm, you can share the positive impact it had on the organization. Or if you are doing research work under some professor, you can ask the professor what impact will it have in the future and list down those impacts. I have an example. So suppose I went to XYZ company, which is into like testing materials, testing the strength of materials. So if I had an internship at that company, I would have developed a computational solver that analyzes shear stress up to an order of 10 to the power -7. So I developed a computational solver which is 10 times faster than what was being previously used at the organization. So you should have the impact that you created for the organization also included in your resume, because that's where you make a difference. So because developing a solver, anyone can develop, but given the time, but that creates like a positive. You get a positive feedback. You are in the good books of the professor you want to do the internship under. The project work. So this is different from all the internship work experience and research experience that you will do. So project work things that you are doing as a hobby and you're spending time for. Like, so suppose you build a balancing board using the concepts of reinforcement learning. So that's something, I mean, you can do it in your internship, but many people do that as a hobby, especially people who are in like mechanical, the branches mechanical or civil. So who want to get in, who are intrigued by the computer science community and want to get their hands dirty in learning and all the trending things that are going on in the world right now. So project work highlight what you are doing as a hobby in the co-curricular field. The co-curricular field is something that's different from extracurriculars. So the co-curricular field is something that is related to studies, but not exactly related to studies. So you are learning the concepts, putting it into use by developing something. So in that, you highlight the utility, the skills that went into it, and the impact it's creating. So that's how you should structure any sentence that you will put under the topic of project work. Build a balancing part using the concepts from reinforcement learning that can be used to design a novel character. So that's something just came out of my head and I just put it. But you can obviously. So next comes extracurriculars. So apart from all the skills that you have relevant for the research internship, so you might have different interests as well, and you might want to portray them in front of the professor. You never know if the professor is into football, is a huge Manu fan. So you don't know, but it might increase your chances of getting selected just based on that. So it's good to have the extracurricular in the resume as well. So that covers the resume part of it. So I'll be going to the SOP, the statement of purpose. Right. So before diving into this, I would like you all to have a look uh, at the professor's mentality once again. Basic knowledge, dedication, innovation, ability to regroup after failure, prior research experience. So your prior research experience, that will be covered in the resume part if you have any, but it's optional, it's not necessary. Your innovation gets covered in your resume. How? Through the internships, work experience, research experience, and your project work. So, innovation. Dedication. If you are undertaking any project, that inadvertently shows that you are dedicated towards it. Right. So now, what are we left with? We are left with ability to regroup after failure and concepts. So now we have now the task is to convince the party who is reading your statement of purpose that you have these two qualities in addition to dedication, innovation, and prior research experience, if any. So all of these 5 or 4 points should be covered in your SOP. So now let's get into the SOP. Right, purpose. So so the statement of purpose has 6 parts. Going into all of these 6 parts, and yeah. So the first is introduction. Just a brief introduction, like for example, I'm turtle snail leg. Turtle, that's a typo. Yeah, I look like a turtle and a snail. A student at Snail Farm University. My interest lies in developing a theory of why the rabbit lost to the tortoise. If you're familiar with the story of the slow and steady wins race, I hope you are. If not, then just pretend you know the story. Right. So just a small introduction of who you are, which university you come from, and what your research or what your interest is in. A real life example would be I'm here, a student at IIT Madras, and my interest lies in combining computational fluid dynamics with machine learning. So that's one real life example statement. So next comes your academic journey. Now this should also include your internship, project work, and research work also. To present how your academic journey led you to the current topic of interest. Now this is very important because the your SOP should be convinced that you are not just exploring the topic of the research internship, but you are genuinely interested in that. So how do you present a way to convince the person reading your SOP that you are genuinely interested in that? So one option would be to actually say that I've tried a lot of things and I've tried this and I found that this works the best for me. Doing this. So what I said is exactly what I mean to say here. So let's see an example. I started out with doing a literature survey on baboon mentality and doing relevant courses. But it turned out that the baboon mentality depended on the theory of the rabbit's loss to the tortoise. Delving deep into that, I found it to be very interesting to the extent that it occupied all my non-sleeping hours. We started out with something else, but one thing led to the other. And that's how you found what you are really interested in. So that actually presents a way of genuine interest. So a real life example would be, so I'm from aerospace. So yeah. So I want to get a research internship in, say, data science, which I'm interested in. So what will I say? So I started out my college life doing the compulsory courses that the institute had to offer. Then after that, the core aerospace courses started coming in, and I developed an interest in that, and I did some coding myself. Not coding. I read up books on that on my own, and blah blah blah. I got to know what the Reynolds Mach number stress means, whatever. And then on so yeah. So and then after that, uh, I saw the trends around me. Machine learning was in trend at that time, and given the powers of machine learning, I thought of incorporating that into what I'm studying to find a better way of actually doing things in core aerospace that require a lot of as on-ground experimental work. So like wind tunnel testing. So for that you need wind tunnels, and for that you need a lot of electricity. So if I can actually incorporate machine learning in that, with all the data that I have, the past experiments that have been done, I can predict what a new initial condition might produce without actually having to test it. Preamble, I can convince the person reading my SOP that with all of that and me going into learning machine learning and dedicating some hours and doing coursework in that, that excited me more, and that's why I want a research internship in machine learning and not aerospace, which is my core subject here at IIT Madras. So you need to so you need to show that you have been on a journey and your journey has led you to what interests you the most at the moment. So that's how you display genuine interest. So yeah, let's go back to the professor's mentality. All of that shows that you are equipped with the basic knowledge, right? So that's one tick mark done, right? So yeah. So before going on to the third point, in the academic journey, you can also include not only coursework, but you can also include all the internships you have done. So for my case, I did my second year internship at ADA, where that was in core aerospace. It would be like after doing the courses, I use the knowledge that I gained in the classes to conduct research work at ADA. So that also goes in there. And if you are doing some project work, the project work like the hobby work, that also goes into that. So as in the chronological order, so and tell your story of how you got to your field of interest right from your first year until now. That covers the academic journey part of the statement of purpose. So next comes, so now the person reading the SOP basic knowledge in a variety of different fields, including the one that you're interested in. Right. So now comes the next part. Why a particular professor? So so only if a professor has to be chosen. So there are two ways to go about a research internship, which I'll come to later at the end of the presentation. Is to go through any organization. In this case would be, let's say, MyTax Global Links for research internship in Canada, or it could be DART, which is a scholarship providing agency for research internship in Germany. So all these organizations have a particular structure to it, in which you can select a prof, in which you don't select a prof. So I'll rephrase it. So I'll come to this later in the end of the PPT, but just to give you a gist of it, of what I mean to say why a particular prof. So there are some agencies, organizations which provide you only with scholarship. They don't give you an option for selecting the prof you want to do your research internship under. So in that case, to write the professor you are of why you are choosing that particular professor. What happens in those cases is you have to find a professor for yourself. So to get the acceptance of the professor, you need to write this part. So this is what I mean. Only if a prof has to be chosen. To get that professor's approval, you need to show some interest in him as well. So why should he take interest in you if you don't take interest in that prof, right? So it works both ways. So how can you show that you are interested in that prof? So it's by reading the professor's publication and tell him what you like about his publication, what you think you can do in a better way, so that of what he has implemented. So just going through his stuff and just commenting on what you like and what you can improve upon. So for example, I've gone through some of your research work and found your theory on slow and steady wins the race to be very insightful. You're just complimenting of what he came up with. So for the real life example, it can be, so I'll take this example from a Electrical, yeah. So let's take the example from electrical. In electrical, you have power plants generating power and distributing it to via grid lines, right? Found a better way to distribute the power through grid lines so that it is used optimally, right? And suppose a professor's research work highlights that, and it does it in a less efficient way than yours. So you can say that application, and I like this part, but if you could have done it in some other way, or if you could have tweaked some parameters, then you would have gotten an optimal, a better distribution method for optimizing it. So something along those lines. But the main point is just complement their work. That's the easiest part, right? On what you like. For that, you have to go through the publication of the professor. I suggest you read only the abstract and not go through the entire paper, because that would be very cumbersome, and it might just waste your time at the end of the day. So I think reading only the extract is the way to go, abstract, right? And if you are very into it, and if you know what changes can be made to improve it, go ahead and suggest it to the professor. So next comes how your skills can be put to use. Yeah, so why someone would select you? Because you have the required skill sets. So now you have to state how your skill sets can be used to solve that particular problem, right? So for example, I have done extensive coursework, literature survey, and research work to understand the concepts of the recent developments in this field. Equipped with this knowledge and mentorship, I can help in solving novel problems and coming up with greater solutions. This statement is just, uh, let's say, it's. mm, I'm finding a word for it, but it's just abstract. Related to anything, it's just an abstract statement. But in your case, you would like to be more specific about it, and like the other part, the person reading your recipe to know what you mean by this abstract statement. So one example could be, let's take a CS example for this one. So suppose you have made a balancing board using RL techniques, right? And if the professor has, or not only the professor, but if you're if the professor is working in RL learning, so you can be like, I've developed a balancing board using instrument learning, and I am aware of all the frameworks and the procedure that goes into developing a reinforcement learning agent. Also working in that field, I think my skill sets can be of use to you in, in whatever he is working on. So suppose the professor is working on drones. So you can be like, with the knowledge of RL, I can help you in writing a control system uh, that can stabilize the drone in a better way than what actually is. Something along those lines. And that you should be of help to the professor, and you have to be genuinely interested in it and work over and over again with the skills you can for the solutions you can come up with your skill set to whatever is working on. Yeah. So that's 4 parts of the statement of purpose done. A look at the professor's mentality again. Right. So dedication, so innovation, you are putting into use by saying that I have these skill sets and I can solve those problems with those skill sets. Right. Ability to regroup after failure. So yeah, that's what I was searching for. Right. So in your academic journey, so you must have failed a lot of times. I mean, don't be shy in stating that as well. Though it might seem negative at the point of writing it, but if you see the bigger picture, it actually helps you in getting the internship because professors actually look for people who have failed and have prospered after like uh, regrouping themselves and getting their back on track, right? So the dedication part of it comes when you cite the professors. So in this part, why a professor or a project has to be chosen. So in this part, if you go through the professor's publication that shows that you are dedicated to work in that field because not everyone goes through the professor's publication who is applying. So that in itself gives you an additional boost over those who have not read their publications. Shows the dedication that you are into the subject and you actually want to work with the prof. Right? So we have equipped with basic concepts done, dedication done, talk about innovation in a bit, regrouping after failure, again in the academic journey part, prior experience that will automatically reflect in the academic journey part if you haven't. So now we are only left with the innovation part, right? So this comes next. So future in the field. So in this part you have to be and see what you want to do in the future. So anyone can say that I want to work in, let's say, I want to build engines for GE in the future. I mean, that's an easy statement to make for anyone. But you want to be someone who is different from those type of people. So how do you differentiate you with them, right? So first of all, you should try to be innovative in how you are going to use your skill sets in the future. And now comes the important part: to create an impact, right? So first, so 2 points here. We are going to use your skill sets, and the second to create an impact in the future, right? So now, so where does the innovation part come in? You might wonder. So cite an example from civil engineering, right? So I don't know much about civil, but as far as I know, so you have all these materials being tested for their strength and all that, I presume. So you can be like, I want to go into the structural aspects of building any civil structure like highway or like buildings or whatever. So, so in that, material testing has a major role to play for first of all, if that would be safe under the load that the structure will carry. I don't know, civil engineers can attest to it better than me. But I'll go forward. So I want to work in that field. But the knowledge about how to test the material is nowadays, and anyone can do it by reading a book, right? Create an impact. You want to change things so that it's more efficient and it's more in the future, right? So with the skill sets that you have, so suppose you have the skill sets of the structural civil engineer, right? Use those skill sets to come up with a different solution. So that's innovation. Coming up with a different solution that's cost effective and that saves upon manpower, that saves upon that's more efficient, etc., etc. So that's what I mean by innovation. So not following your standard textbook stuff and actually going out and exploring new methods to. You want to explain that. So in future in the field, you would how you want to change the existing, let's say, uh, how should I frame it? The pre-existing methods that are in use today. So you envision that the future of the field, right? Take an example. I've tried many different things, but the rabbit tortoise problem has intrigued me to no extent. A track of time whenever I start pondering over the subject, which shows genuine interest. I have developed a keen eye and want to become an expert in this field and pursue it as a career. Yeah, that's kind of a bland statement to make. I wouldn't want to make that statement, but you can take elements from it, but you should also incorporate the innovation part in that as well. That's something I missed out in the slides, but and I'll say it again that innovation part that needs to be incorporated in what you want to do. Right. So with that, we come to the last point that the statement of purpose should have. So this is, I would say, an essential part of the SOP, but not necessary. So if you can think of any, good statements to come up with this question, then I would highly encourage that you have it on your statement of purpose. But if you can't come up with any catchy statement, then you can just use the normal statement and that would go well as well. So present it in a way that shows mutual benefit for both parties. So it has to, so you just track back and look at the bigger picture at the moment. Applying to a research internship and you're asking for it, right? So it should be in a synergistic way that also helps the professor or the institution or the organization that you'll be doing your research internship under. So it should not only be a self. You should not go about it in a selfish way, but you should also think about how you can help the professor who is conducting research to grow as both of you grow as a whole. So I'll state the example. With this opportunity, I hope we can have fruitful discussions on the topic and direct the research to build something extraordinary along with you to take this research forward. Right. So the key point here is to show that you mutually benefit with this opportunity. So that should increase your chances rather than selfishly saying that you'll use it as a springboard. use that statement that you will use it. You'll use this internship as a springboard because that just reflects selfish what's that called intentions for, and no one likes selfish people, right? So mutual benefit. So those are the 6 points: introduction, academic journey, particular professor. In particular professor, it can particular professor, how your skills can be put to use, future in the field, that is your future, what you envision to be in the future, and how the internship will help you. Those are the elements of a statement of purpose, which covers all the basis of the professor's mentality, right? So with the CV and with the SOP, so statement of purpose is abbreviated as SOP. So both of those documents cover all the points in the professor's mentality, right? So now you have closely knitted set of documents that's actually in alignment with what you want and what the person who will provide you with the research internship wants, right? So I think some uh, some some professors or some organizations that provide you with research internship want a cover letter. So from my experience, I haven't seen many of them. Like in 99% of the uh, programs that I have uh, gone through or have applied to, I haven't seen the option for a cover letter apart from 1%. So that's a very small percentage, but still I'll go through it. So the cover letter should have the introduction. Introduction should be same as the statement of purpose. Academic journey, same as the statement of purpose. Skills that you possess, same as the SOP. So in SOP we had how your skills can be put to use, right? Same as the SOP. And then at the end, you might want to conclude by saying that I eagerly want to work in this field. And let's take the example. I'm looking to continue the momentum I've gained in the subject and further develop my skills by undertaking a new project. The postscript part of it, the ending that you might want to include in a cover letter. So with cover letter completed, you have all the documents ready for applying to a research internship, right? So you have your transcripts of recommendation, you have your resume, you have a statement of purpose, and you have a cover letter. That's optional. So that completes the documents part of it. We go to the part which focuses on you guys. So the type of applicants that apply. So people have varied experience in their field of interest, and I've mentioned three. I've mentioned three types, but all of these can have overlap. So what I say for one can also you can combine both of the things or 2 points in your SOP or cover letter or your resume. So because a person who is doing a hobby project work can is also doing coursework, right? So both of them can be combined together. And so for the people who are only doing coursework and they are not into any project work or they're not into any research work as of now, chances, because I was at this stage when I applied in 20 18 and 2019 as well. So there's hope for the people who are only doing coursework, and I'll tell you that. So list down the topics. So I'll just read the points that I've written under this topic. So list down the topics studied in the course, your understanding of it, how you can put it to practical use, and list down and elaborate on it extensively. So first of all the coursework that you're doing should be on your resume. Understanding of it, that should be reflected in your statement of purpose. That so your understanding can be tested. No, you can portray your understanding of it by saying in your SOP that I like topic the most, and I like the way they came up with. So I'll give an example. So let's take a metallurgical example, a simple one. I'm intrigued by how iron is made. So how iron is extracted from its ores. So what I'm saying might not be completely correct. Metallurgical engineers can correct me. So, but it's just an example. So you do mine the site containing iron. You extract, you take all those rocks and I guess melt it. Just bear with me. So just you melt it and then you get iron, right? So you know all the procedure of getting pure iron. So you understand how you you can get iron, and that's how you portray your understanding of it in your statement of purpose. How you can put it to practical use. So again, your future in it. That's so it's your future in it. That part in the statement of purpose, you can elaborate on that, right? And your future in it. So that's one. Both of them are the one in the same thing, just different sentences under the same subheading, right? So some courses have course projects in them, right? So if you have done a course project and you are only doing coursework, it would be a wise choice to actually elaborate on what the coursework entails and how you went about doing it, and what all papers you read, what all information you needed to gather, what you have coded anything, working model of it, all those things. You can elaborate on that quite extensively if you are only doing coursework. And I was in this stage in 2018 and 2019, and I managed to get research internships. So when it comes to CG, CG is important if you only have coursework, right? So around 8.8 out of 10 at that point. So yeah, I don't know how that number, where in the pecking order 8.8 is in other colleges, but in IIT Madras it's just under the exceptional guys, I feel. So yeah. So next, the type of people who do hobby project work and are also doing courses, of course. So for these type of people, you are actually going out of the way and learning something new. So that in itself shows a lot of dedication to some extent innovation as well. So and 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 that point also where you regroup after failure, because and only if you get the project work completed before sending in your applications, right?
Hi guys, sorry for the inconvenience, and I think there is some internet issue right now. So Mihir has gone offline for some time. So let's wait for him to come back. Till then, I'll be discussing few of the important questions which have been asked by the students through Google Form. So first of all, I would like to thank Mihir to take out his wonderful time and a very important time when he was at home. And I think there was some internet issue right now, and that's why he has went offline. So I think throughout the session he has covered all the important things which are needful for the research internship, starting from letter of recommendation, or your cover letter, your SOP, statement of purpose. So he has gone through each and everything step by step, and I think that would be very helpful for all the students over here. And so here I can see some questions uh, which are like, how important is the CGPA for research internship? So of course it matters. It matters a lot, and you see, like recently he was mentioning about his CGPA like 8.8, and in some of the colleges it is even beyond. So if you have a CGPA above 8 point, that should be okay. That should be fair enough. And some in some of the colleges it is even it is required above than 8.5. So if your CGPA is above 8.5, you can definitely give a try. And like he has already mentioned about the process from the beginning, what all things, what all documents are required. So in all those documents, how to mention each and everything. So I don't think any further questions uh, would make any difference. So all those questions will be very helpful. And yes, so there are few internships which do give a lot of stipend, and that stipend would be fair enough to cover your entire uh, entire expenses, covering from your accommodation and also your air traveling fare. So that will cover most of the things. So you don't need to worry. But yes, some of the internships, when you directly approach professor, uh, they may want to offer a stipend and they may not want to. So that depends on the professor you choose, and that depends on what topic you choose. So if they are willing to give you stipend, that would be very helpful, or else uh, it's their choice. But if you directly go for some of the already existing internship program, like he got into global link research intern. So in all these which are standard internship, where they actually provide stipend a lot, where you can manage your all the expenses very easily. And I think, yeah, he has covered almost all the points from the like I don't think anything is missed out. So all the questions I think have been pretty well covered by him. I just want to thank Mihir Godia for taking out his precious time, and especially during this corona where everyone is into the panic situation, but every day we are trying to bring out some uh, important people to help our students who are at home and they can utilize their time properly. So yes, very special thanks to Mihir Godia and also to Grow 90 and Tech Table who are conducting webinars every day for the students who are at home. Keep learning, keep enjoying. Thank you.